All right, NAI football fans, we are back with another edition of the NAIF Ball Live Show, powered by AdCraft Custom Apparel and Merch, the experts in the apparel, merch, and uniform game since 1974. John's opened his Franklin County web store back up. It's got a whole bunch of great stuff for all, uh, honestly, for any budget, from $15 and $18 t-shirts to some nice uh, jackets that are a little bit more expensive. Whatever your budget range, you can get it done through AdCraft. We are back with another week. Matt, it felt a little weird, I think, this week after 2 weeks of constant chaos, that we had some relative calm.
Yeah, it was the first week in a while. I feel like I was able to take a breath watching games and looking at scores. Pretty much everybody who thought they would win did win. There were some good games across the country, but there were also a lot of closely seeded matchups. So that would check out, obviously. But still a great week of football. That being said, so there's a lot to talk about here still.
Absolutely. And obviously, one of the big ones that we were looking forward to was St. Xavier, St. Francis. St. Xavier just gets it done in overtime, a 28-21 victory. You know, with how close these have been, like over the last 10, 15 years, you got to think that St. Francis is going to get one. But right now, they're like 1-25 against St. Xavier.
Yeah, this is St. Xavier's game to win every year. And they got it done. Stuart Ross obviously has been putting up some pretty crazy numbers all year. Obviously, a quieter game from him, but still scoring 3 touchdowns will get it done for your squad. And going 50% on third and fourth down is going to help you out quite a bit.
Yeah, I just, there's a part of me that really wonders when St. Francis is going to run out of tumulties. Uh, Joey's a new one. They have
Yeah,
they have Sam, they have Scott on defense, now Joey on at wide receiver. How many more tumulties are there? Is my question.
I don't know. We can't answer that question
That
until
is true.
we see them all cycle through, apparently. But
Yeah,
obviously, those brothers are getting it done because that's still some pretty impressive stats from Sam and Joey.
it does make sense though, doesn't it? Like if there's three of them and you're going to play a game of interception, you got to have a quarterback,
Yep.
you got to have a wide receiver, and you got to have a defensive back. And well, that checks out.
It's literally just backyard football with scholarship money. It's not all that different.
Welcome to the NAIA.
That could be said for a lot of these, I feel like.
Next up on the list, Graceland is in a bit of a free fall here, losing 3 games in a row after a hot start. MidAmerican Nazarene gets it done, a 20-point victory over the Jackets.
Yeah, and this is a Mid-American Nazarene team. I feel like every year we mention their offense, and going into the season, we mentioned the offense. Adrian Parsons going for 354 touchdowns. Just hard to imagine many teams have an answer for that. Graceland obviously did not. And like you mentioned, going into a bit of a free fall, I don't know how exactly they're going to rebound from losing 3 straight in the fashion that they have. Um, there's still a lot of season left for them, but I'm super impressed by Mid American Nazarene.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of really good 5-1 squads at this juncture. This is a bit of a it's a bit of an oddity. I feel like there are just an absolute ton of one loss squads, 4-1, 5-1 squads that are really good, more so than usual. It feels like, you know. Um, One thing I did notice for Graceland was that Gerald Wilson was not out there. The all world wide receiver was not out there for them, and I wonder if he might have been hurt. This might have been a little bit of a closer game. He just didn't. I didn't couldn't see if he was hurt or if he just didn't play for other reasons. But I feel like that's a big factor.
100%. That's the guy that you need out there.
Sorry,
So,
Gerald Monroe. Get the last name right, Corey. Um,
yes.
Then as we go to the West, Rocky Mountain really pushed College of Idaho to a place they didn't want to go. But the Yotes rebound, and they take this one by a comfortable margin.
Yeah, this was a really impressive win for College of Idaho. And Rocky Mountain has got a really good roster. Obviously, Luke Holcomb, a D1 bounce back from Washington State. Very talented quarterback for them. Obviously, throwing for 3 touchdowns, he proved that. But that defense for College of Idaho, just all over the place. I mean, you get 6 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 2 picks, and 6 pass breakups. It's a lot of momentum in your favor.
Yeah, and even though we don't get to see like the third down and long average or get to see all the third downs stacked up, you've got to think that that's why Rocky was only 6 of 21 on third and fourth down.
100%. Yeah.
And then we go back east to a game of, where we had 2 undefeated squads coming in. And, boy, Bethel showed out. Cumberland's kept it close for a while, but Bethel just was able to keep the pressure on.
Yeah, and this is a Bethel team week in and week out that I could just sing their praises for the entirety of our episode because it's just insane what they're able to get done. Collazo is unreal, and obviously Marcy Smith chipping in with 152 yards on the ground on his own. But man, this is a complete team against a honestly really good Cumberland squad. This Cumberland's team is not a pushover.
Shane Housekeeper's done a really good job with this Cumberland squad. That is not there's no question about that. Second year in the program there for Coach Housekeeper's done a good job to start to get the roster right to where he wants it to go. So I tell you, this is a really, really good conference of football. This is true Mid-South football right here.
Yeah, and this Cumberland's team is going to stick around. Don't think this will deter them at all.
Yeah, they're on pace for a really good season. So how did it affect our top 25? Obviously, you have very few actual upsets here. You do see a little bit of movement. Dordt comes up a spot, swaps with Montana Tech. College of Idaho comes up a spot at 12th. I do feel like the 24 and 25 are done a little dirty here this week with Georgetown falling 6 spots off of a bye and Rocky Mountain falling 10 spots off of a game that they controlled for a half.
Yeah, did we just forget about the week before with Georgetown and wait until this week to put it into effect?
I guess. I mean, Georgetown went from 2 weeks ago being, a fringe top 10 team to almost being out this week. And I feel, like I said, we did Georgetown a little dirty there. I won't lie.
Yeah, I'm glad they're still in it because they are a solid squad to their credit. I want to point out Concordia, Michigan here. Really underrated squad. Took down D2 Wayne State this past weekend in a absolute brawl. And I think this Concordia team is going to be top 10 and looking in on the playoffs. They are a really good football team.
Yeah, that's a really good squad this year. And I think we'll get it right here. But yeah, that's just shocking. To see a team fall 10 spots is just a little woohoo.
Yeah, that's a lot. But it happens, especially in a week where a lot of chalk played out as we expected it to.
Yeah, there's not a lot of place to slot them back in is exactly right. So we will step aside and we'll be right back after these messages from our friends at AdCraft.
So you want to create and sell custom merch for your team or business. That's exciting, but where do you begin? How much inventory should you order? How do you distribute orders? AdCraft has your answers. Streamline the way you offer custom merch by utilizing our risk-free web store service. We ship directly to each customer. And we have the fastest turnaround in the game. Raise funds for your team or get merch to your employees and patrons. Contact AdCraft today and let's bring your merch to life.
That's exactly what they do. They do such a great job with what they do there in Iowa and shipping probably worldwide. I haven't asked them about that, but I'm sure they do. I know they ship good and fast down here to Florida. That is for sure, and certain those web stores are definitely something you've got to look into. Now, Matt, I feel, because we have not discussed this. We have not discussed this at all. So I'm going to completely take Matt by surprise here. Ha ha. And that is going to be our player of the week, our telemetry sports player of the week. Feel like you might enjoy this one, Matt. It was a workmanlike performance here from the Dakota Wesleyan running back. Say the name because I'm going to butcher it.
Jamin Aaron, baby, out of Bridgewater, South Dakota, RB1.
I would definitely have butchered that. Look, there were no flashy long runs, but my man went for 200 and I believe 32 yards on. I should pull it up because I got it right here. 212 yards on 36 carries and 5 touchdowns, the longest a 28-yard scamper here against Mount Marty. Just gets through the middle. Look, man, my guy got 17.5 miles an hour in less than 30 yards.
Yeah, Jamin is an incredibly impressive running back, to put it lightly. Won GPAC Offensive Player of the Week this week, rightfully so. And this is a guy who has been working his way up the rankings. He is now 5th all-time after this game in Dakota Wesleyan rushing history in yardage, and he has been the backbone of this offense for a few years now. Absolute workhorse. They ask him to run the ball a lot, and he does it and just puts his head down and gets it done. Very scrappy player, super sneaky athletic. Not surprised that he pulls off runs like these, if I'm being completely honest.
A couple of other performances I do want to highlight because there were so many good performances this week. And I was able to get good video for Jamin. And that's what puts you over the top, is if I can get clear video of you. But I do want to congratulate Lee Kirkland and Derek Griffith for U-Pike. Lee Kirkland going 38 of 58 for 614 yards, 6 touchdowns and a pick. Derek Griffith catching 10 of those 38 balls for 233 and 2 scores on his own, including an 86-yard bomb.
That'll do it.
That was fantastic. And speaking of bombs, Stephen Linen from Dort going back to the GPAC with a 58-yard no-doubter field goal.
That's just wild. That's just insane.
That, and like I said, it was an absolute no-doubter. That thing probably would have been good from like 63 or 65. It was absolutely obliterated. Look, I grew up watching Sebastian Janikowski. I know what kicking a football into oblivion is. That was what that looked like.
Is that a record? That has to be a record.
That set a Dort record.
Yeah.
I don't think it set an NAIA record because, Lord knows, we have folks in the Northeast where we're going to get a 20-mile-an-hour tailwind and you'll kick a 70-yard field goal. I feel like I did see one in the 60s. I think it was College of Idaho a couple of years ago. I feel like I saw one in the 60s. But that's the longest I've seen in a while. That was one of 4 field goals for the defender kicker. I believe 2 of them were beyond 50 yards, including that absolute bomb from 58. So some really great performances this week. I mean, maybe we didn't get a lot of upsets, but we had some awesome performances to go with. And we are also thankful to our friends to Connor Darnell. I say our friends like there's more than one Connor Darnell. No, there is only the one, the only Connor Darnell. Does such a great job with our graphics. So thankful for what he does to get us good-looking graphics every single week. And here is his what to watch for graphic for us. We have 3 phenomenal matchups here. Georgetown gets a chance to really redeem themselves with a game against Bethel. Bethel coming off of a emotional game. Can the Wildcats go 2 in a row?
And this is one of the matchups in the preseason that we had circled because we assumed that this was one of the key games in the top 3 in that conference. Obviously, we thought very highly of Georgetown, who was dropped, but you want to prove something to the rest of the league and the rest of the country. This is the game to do it. Bethel is obviously a very good squad, but Georgetown has the talent to make this one close. I'm excited for this one.
I feel like Chris Oliver is just going to post our top 25 in the locker room and and be like, look at this.
We've proven that we do a great job at bulletin board material. So
that
I'm
is our
sure
forte.
It's somewhere. Yeah.
Absolutely our forte. And I feel like every week we've got a frontier matchup on this, and this week's no different. Montana Tech plays Montana Western. That game is at Montana Tech. Sorry about that. Not at Montana Western. Western needs to get back into it. Montana Tech has really done a great job this year. Going to pull up the Frontier Conference standings. Look, I mean, right now, Carroll is just absolutely obliterating everyone in their path. But Montana Tech is still 3-0 in the Frontier, right alongside Carroll. Montana Western is 1-1 in the Frontier. You drop this game, it's going to be a whole lot more difficult in the back half of your season to get back up into a spot where you could even think about being playoff bound.
Yeah, and the Frontier is going to be the Frontier Conference. This is never a guaranteed game. Montana Tech being able to distance themselves from the woes of conference play is something that is refreshing to see out of them. And it's really nice to see them playing as well as they are. But you're never safe. You're never safe in this conference ever.
No.
And Montana Western always brings in guys that can compete and are obviously a top 25 team most years. So this will be a good one.
And then our nightcap.
Cool.
Dude. I am so looking forward to this game. I've been looking forward to this game since before the season. This is the showdown for basically the Sun Conference right here. This is where this is going to get decided effectively. Now, yes, Southeastern's having a really great season, and they're doing very, very well. Florida Memorial just took Ave Maria behind a flipping woodshed running in the diamond formation and just absolutely decimated the Gyrenes. That was a little bit of a shocker to me. But man, you've got these 2 ranked squads here, and this is one that we've been licking our lips for.
This is game of the year potential. This will be screen 1 for me over any Division 1 game being played at this time on the night slate. Like, this is the real deal. This is going to be an insane football game. It's going to be extremely emotionally charged. Both teams have a lot to prove. Both teams have a lot to play for. I mean, this is like why you watch college football. This is why people play college football, for games like this. I cannot even begin to state how insane this game is going to be.
It might sound a little Yeah, Coach Speaky to say it, but I think whoever controls their emotions best is going to be able to win this game because you are correct.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of emotions riding in on this game, and whoever's able to keep that pushed down, yeah, they're going to be they're going to be the ones who come out with an early advantage here. And let's talk about a few things here. If you have any other comments, drop them in the chat below. But I'm going to tell you, I hate to say that any week is not a good football week. Obviously, we have some extremely high-profile matchups. But holy cow, everyone got together and said, you know what? Week 6, we're going to all take our bye week at the exact same time.
Yeah. I can't even hype up Wesleyan right now. They're on a bye next week.
Yeah, exactly. We've got, let me see. We've got 16 games, I believe.
Wow.
That are top 25 receiving votes. Not an absolute ton of content to watch, to be perfectly honest with you. Now, the quality, yes, absolutely there. There's going to be some fun games even outside of those three. St. Francis of Illinois at Roosevelt. If you're a West Coaster like Matt, you might stay up and watch College of Idaho at Arizona Christian if you can get it.
I certainly will. Don't doubt me, Corey.
Dordt versus Midland. That's going to be a fun one. If you want to see an absolute murder take place, you can watch Louisiana Christian versus North American, or Marion at Madonna. If you're into true crime podcasts. But yeah, I mean, there's just not the slate is not incredibly. It's not incredibly varied this week. It's an awful shame. I know. I think the entire KCAC is taking their bye together, and I think the Heart is too, which I really need them to get together and not do this on the same week.
Yeah. There's literally no football.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. Now, if you'll want to hear, if you like what you hear here, 12 o'clock game, Ave Maria at Thomas. I'll be on the call on that one. Can Ave Maria bounce back? Let's see. Let's roll through some of these other games here. Valley City State at Waldorf, the battle for second place in the North Star. That's going to be a fun one. Mount Marty at Jamestown. That will be fun.
That's going to be a fun one.
That's Cumberland's at Cumberland. That's always a fun. That's always a fun one to at least say. Let's see. That's about it. Like I said, it's slim pickings this week. Next week we do get a Thursday game, Culver Stockton at Grandview. But yeah, I mean we're right there. Yeah, Chris Swiner, Derek Dorfler of Baker hit a 62-yarder in 2007. Don't think that's the NAIA record. Trying to think if I've got I don't have the record book on me. Thanks, Roger, on praising the change details and trying to get that. Yeah, Mayville State with a huge shutout. That's been a team that we were really, really high on coming into the season. We didn't think they would be a contender for the North Star, but we thought that they would, not take up the place in the basement.
Yeah.
Matt obviously thought that was going to be Dakota State.
Well, I mean, it might be the case.
It might be the
at
case.
this point. because Mayville State pitching a 13-0 shutout to get their first win of the season. Impressive showing from them. It's not easy to shut out Dakota State, but I mean, yeah, that's getting a first win on the board is always good to get the ball rolling.
It's
Happy
big.
for Mayville State that they get it. Obviously, I'll be a little biased in who they played, but generally speaking.
Roll Mets. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be. Look, it's always a fun week. Watch this be a week where there's all these absolutely epic upsets. If there's any week, it'll be this week. Watch Cumberland just come in and just destroy Cumberland's, and me and Matt be like, "Oh, what the crap just happened?"
That would be so bad. That would be so bad for narratives.
I mean, my poll would be ruined at that point. I mean, but there's always something. Let's see. We did have some news from this week, especially today. We did learn a couple days ago that Cumberland, speaking of Cumberland, has made a committee to investigate their future in terms of where they're going to be. Are they going to stay in AI? Are they going to go D2? Are they going to go D3? What are they going to do? Where they want to go? So there's that. That's an interesting little. That's just a little tidbit there. And then today, the NAI approved 5 new members. We talked before the season about how the MSFA needed to find some members to replace, and I think they have their next one there, as Defiance from Ohio is going to move to the NAI from Division III. They already have a football team, so that fits in really well on the Mid-East side and kind of moves the Mid-States a little bit to the east. One that really kind of tickles my fancy is New College of Florida. It's going to be joining the Sun New College. That's one of them fancy liberal arts schools. In Sarasota, I've actually been to New College's campus looking at an art exhibition. If that tells you anything. Sarasota is very artsy. But they're going to be joining the Sun Conference. This really interests me, especially from a flag perspective, as Sarasota is like an hour and a half south of Tampa, which is the hotbed for flag football.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
They are definitely going to have baseball. They've already hired a baseball coach, which Tampa's also a great hotbed for baseball as well. So that's interesting, and I just wonder if you're going to be able to pick up football. I don't think it's a bad idea, especially for the Sun Conference, where you're having to schedule a lot of these D2 squads, like Valdosta and Mississippi College, or play some absurd out-of-conference games like St. Thomas did with Carroll and Texas Wesleyan. I think bringing in someone like a New College, just like you brought in Thomas, is a good way to broaden your palette.
100%. Yeah, there's a lot that they're going to add. It's always interesting seeing new schools come in. It's always good. Always good.
The other 3, I'll go back and look at them. I thought I hadn't closed that. We don't know if they're going to have football or not. Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College is an NJCAA. It's going 4-year. They have been approved in the southern states, so that's not a conference that has football right off. So we'll see there. Baptist Bible College, which is a completely nondescript name if you ever had one. That's only slightly worse than New College. That's 50 years old. They are NCCAA, and they have applied for membership in the American Midwest. Again, not a football conference itself, but some AMC members are football playing institutions. And then the other one, that we haven't talked about is Spartanburg Methodist, another NJCAA. They're going to join the Continental Athletic Conference, otherwise known as the Independents. Yeah, and interesting. And I wonder if that's Spartanburg, South Carolina. I don't know that for sure.
I'd assume so, but I guess you can never assume.
We're about to go look at this. Yeah, it's in South Carolina.
There you go.
I wonder where Baptist Bible College is. Springfield, Missouri. And then, what was it? Abraham Baldwin is in Tifton, Georgia. Look at
Oh,
you,
wow.
Tifton, Georgia. Love it, love it, love it. Yes, I need a flaming meatball logo to go along with my my M. That's fantastic. I love the flaming meatball. That's one of the best logos in the NAI, bar none. Let's see. Well, y'all keep dropping comments. I'm gonna go read through the patrons, which of course is my favorite part of this whole dealio, because I just spent a good chunk of money getting making my reservations for the national championship. These are the folks who make it so that I can go to the national championship. It's a joint effort between our sponsors and these guys. These guys are so very important in that effort, and they are DSU Cone, Bob Boone, Roger Meyer, Jeremy Vobble, Shirley LaBella, Fred Christensen, Jerry Quickle, Ace Wellen, Marty Seabolt, Nick Ryan, Hayden Ferrigno, Kyle Gregory, Tyler Pierce, Justin Hoffman, Steve Speakman, Brian Shake, Julianne Shager, Nate Soapbeer, Stephen Cutler, Julie Lout, Tim Burrow, Del Norton, Nathan Moore, Dylan Gonzalez, Ryan, Jason Crawford, Zach Ryherd, and Dustin Wilkie. Yeah, it's a great time to join. We've never been healthier with our patrons. There's all sorts of patron specific stuff that we're able to do, whether that's picks for me and John. The patrons get the redacted no names poll of to see how our poll gets put together, and see if you can play guess where the pollster lives. I mean, let's be fair. You can tell which ones live in the east, which ones live in like the south, like heart of Texas area, and which ones live out west. It's you can tell, and that's not a bad thing. That's why we have a varied group of voters, is to get that, because if it was just me, I'm going to be very East Coast heavy. If it's just the guys out on the West Coast, they're going to be very West Coast heavy. If it's just guys in the middle of the country, you're going to be very Iowa heavy.
And if it's just me, you know who's going to be one every week.
Obviously not Dakota Wesleyan, because you haven't voted them number one ever in your poll.
No, I have to be somewhat honest. Also, you told me I have to be, which I don't think that's fair, but whatever. I'll oblige.
But yeah, I mean, it balances out, and love seeing that. Makes it to where it gives us a better poll. So until next week, we will see y'all later. We appreciate y'all, and we'll see you on the social media feeds.